Oh, the Brexit deal is frightful, and Theresa says it's delightful. And as we know she's wrong, WTO, WTO, WTO. Hello there and good morning. It seems that things are now hotting up across the country with regards to our exit from the EU. And when I say hotting up, I mean tempers are now fraying. On June the 23rd, 2016, the majority of people in this country voted to leave the EU. And from 24th of June 2016 onwards, those good people went about their normal lives in what we now know is the mistaken belief that their government and politicians would do their democratic and constitutional duty. But what the good Leave voters have witnessed over the ensuing 2.5 years is what can only be interpreted as a willful attempt to subvert the democratic wishes of the electorate. They have also had to endure the constant drip, drip, drip of negative comments from those that claimed they held the moral EU high ground about the intelligence of those that had the temerity to vote to leave their beloved EU, and accusations of their xenophobia and bigotry. And because these good people are quiet, law-abiding folk, they did not make a fuss. They bore those slings and arrows with steadfast fortitude, and this was inaccurately interpreted by the pro-EU superstate lobby as the apathy of the ignorant and thick, unwashed Brexiteer masses. We can steamroller these insignificant people, and they will neither understand nor really care at the end of the day, the pro-EU lobby told themselves, which has culminated in Theresa May's abominable non-Brexit deal and emboldened Remainers shouting about a second referendum. And it's no good now Theresa May berating Tony Blair and saying he's undermining the Brexit talks and insulting the office he once held by calling for a second referendum, because her deal turns us from being a member vassal state of the EU into a total vassal state. What would you call that act? But while the Remainers and establishment play their games, what has really been happening over the months is the slow storing up of a very hard to stir anger in those normally quiet people that trusted this so-called democracy to deliver what they had asked for. Many of these people had silently endured decades of watching the dismantling of their country at the hands of those who despised the UK and worshipped at the altar of the EU superstate. Now that their combined voices and votes had achieved the dream of reclaiming their country, they trusted that democracy would be respected. But all they have to show for their patience and trust is abuse and the trashing of their democratic vote by those that support a pro-EU elite. And still, all we see from the media and the Remainer politicians is a sort of pro-EU and anti-UK pomposity that treats the Leave voting majority with utter disdain. And what really worries me is that these long-suffering people will only be able to accept so much, and if having voted to leave the EU, all they can see for their future is remaining in the EU, and every vote they cast in future reinforcing the power of the EU by proxy, then that anger and frustration can only build. Can't those people calling for support for Theresa May's appalling deal or for a second referendum see that they are just proving to the majority what they always suspected? That their democratically elected legislature and executive is no longer able to or is unwilling to deliver democracy. How is that ever going to take this country forward, other than into a very, very dark place? Anyway, what do you think about all of this? Please leave a comment below and thank you for watching.